Okay, you comedy legend, you, Kevin McDonald. How are things?
Things are good. Things are fine. I feel like I should say a longer sentence, so I'm just rambling until maybe I think of something. But I haven't thought of anything, so I'll just say things are good. How are things with you?
Things are great. It's been a long time. So you were here, I believe, in 2019. It was when you were performing your rock opera, and
Yes,
I just had a great run over in New York.
yes.
Sure.
I said yes, and I hurt my voice. I said yes to paraphrase. Yes. Sorry. Yes. It was a good run. We were in an off Broadway theater called Soho Playhouse. But we did it for a week, and a lot of people came. It was sold out three times out of five. That's good. And friends, Janine, I'm about to name drop
Do it.
90s people. Janine Grafflo, Dave Hill. He's not 90s. Dave Hill. Do you know Dave Hill?
No,
You should know Dave Hill because you're
I'm
rock and roll
embarrassed.
and you like comedy. So he's a great comedian, a great like alternative comedian. He's also a great guitarist. He's a really great guitarist. He's not just a great guitarist for a comedian. Like he's in lots of bands, and what do you kids say? He thrashes, flashes,
Oh yeah. Okay.
shreds, and he
He
shreds while he
shreds.
does stand up. And he played Scott Thompson in the rock opera.
Amazing. Okay, well, like, now you're coming back to Toronto,
I am,
and
yes,
we have an evening with Kevin McDonald. But I saw that stand up is in quotes. So
yes,
can we explain? Can you give us, because I know that there's stories from Kids in the Hall, obviously, but can
yes,
you give us
yes.
a little context?
First of all, I feel hokey and square. Is square now square? The word square is square to say square now, isn't it? When we
You can say
hung
whatever
around
you
in Queen
want.
Street in the early 80s, we would say that's square. But now I think you don't say it's not cool to say square. It's square to say an evening with Kevin McDonald telling kids in the hall stories. I always feel like I'm Mark Twain. Mark Twain tells stories from the Mississippi River. I always feel it's like that. But more people come, so I am hokey and square. Yes, stand up in quotes because I don't know how to do stand up. I can't write jokes. I know I'm funny, blah blah blah. But it's not about like coming up with jokes and telling them. Sometimes when I'm on a TV show, I have great jokes, and I it's sort of my instinct to mock the joke. I don't know why. It's a bad instinct. I'm not saying kids. It's not a good instinct. It's a bad instinct. So I like to put stand up in quotes. Long story long.
I love it. Now, when it comes to all of these great stories from Kids in the Hall, obviously you're going to have those standout memories, but do you mine old material? Do you have old, like, how do these stories come to fruition to make the cut?
Yeah, it's I always like think about that. Is it old material because it's an old story, or is it newer material because I took an old story and I exaggerated a lot with it? Though some of the old stories are old stories because I've been doing them since around 2019, but there's two or three new ones, the darker ones.
Ooh, okay.
I I guess it takes me a while. I'm an old man now. It takes me a while to look at it. Oh, that's a good story. I can tell friends like that that story, but you can't go on stage and tell that story. And then one of the stories in particular, which I won't mention. I don't want to shut your radio station down, but Bruce McCullough finally said because he was there when it happened in 1983, and he said, "Why don't you tell that story?" And I said, "Like, I do this. People can't see me, can they? I'm
I think we'll put this online so people can
Oh, good.
the
Those of you
beauty
who
of the
aren't, I'm like
self-hug.
an old woman with a shawl right now. I'm like, I can't tell that story. People will hate me. And Bruce said, like every cold-hearted comedian says, yeah, but it's funny. So I tell a story that people hate me. Do I qualify it? I say, it's 83. I've seen therapists since. And then I tell the story.
Is the set interactive at all? Do you involve the audience?
Only by accident.
Okay.
Only by accident. Because I'm not like Todd Barry crowd work. Like I'm not. I really am in quotes. But also like I like to make up stuff. So if someone will say something to me, I'll talk back. If they do crowd work with me, like I'll talk back. And quite often, what happens is I make a lot of mistakes, and then I'll tell the audience it's mistakes, and then I'll talk to them about that sometimes about the mistakes. So accidentally, I am a little interactive. But you can sit close. I'm not going to make fun of you.
Okay,
I,
that's
I
good to know.
died when I said make fun of you because I said, oh, I do something at the end, but it's not making fun of you. I just point. People who sit close, I point at and pretend that you're somebody else. That's not horrible.
No, that's not horrible. That's fun.
Yeah.
Who would I be? Come on, let's give me give me
I make sure that because the last bit is my story, my true story about my girlfriend at the time. We were off and on for 10 years, and my nickname for her is Cheater. So I do
Okay.
actually the rock opera is about Cheater. Just one little bit of the last story is about Cheater.
And just walked
And
into that one.
I pretend that she's Cheater.
Noted. Because of course you have such rabid fans. Like the fans are so obsessed with Kids in the Hall. Do they ever I was just wondering if they interject or then do you swap stories if they have a kind of a request?
Yeah, they do. They do sometimes, and I do one thing where I've learned the trick now. I do it quick, but where I'm telling a story, but where Scott and I bombed once, and I said, "Well, Scott and I did our best catch," and I said, "Does anyone here? Do they know? Oh yeah, shout out your favorite Scott and Kevin sketch," and then they start shouting it out. But it ruins the bit. So I find if I do this really quickly, they laugh because they know where I'm going. And then I go, "You're right, there aren't any. Otherwise, they would." So I'm learning a little professionalism.
Now, are you also aren't you also teaching improv at Second City as well? Like, are you also like teaching classes and
Yes, yes,
yeah.
I'm teaching to justify my trip away from home. I'm trying to make more money, but I love teaching. I love teaching. I do actually. Though I stutter like this, but somehow when sometimes I get like a clearer like vision, and I'm like I talk without mumbling. But yes, I'm teaching the what's it called? Oh yeah, every old hacky teacher who had a TV show in the 90s calls their workshop this, but from improv to sketch, where everyone teaches this, but I do the kids in the hallway, so it's a little less graceful, which I like. How to write a sketch through improvising.
Excellent. I mean, we're just trying to make sure everybody knows you're coming to Toronto, which of course is a huge part of your story. So,
Yes.
everyone's excited to welcome you back, even though you were very clear about saying, I'm coming back to Toronto, not living in brackets.
I did
So,
say that.
just in case people were really excited.
Yeah, or dreading it. Like either way. Cheater would be dreaded. I'm sorry. By the way, Cheater, if you're listening, I'm just saying Cheater now because I want to say your name. Half of it was my fault.
No, of course not. You're also, of course, you always have so many projects on the go, which I appreciate. You're ever
Yes.
creative. There's a movie in the work that you have written, you're co-directing and starring in. Can you give us a little
Yes.
scoop on that? Will that be in Toronto as well?
I think like we're shooting in where I live in Winnipeg, most of
Nice.
it because of the tax breaks. But there's a scene between hopefully Dave Foley will be free and do the part with me. I'll talk to his agents and we'll find out. And I would love to do it. We walk from the Rivoli down Spadina to Harborfront, which Dave and I have done a million times. Having sort of half of a fight and half of a nice time together, and I would really love to shoot that there if I'm allowed to. But everything else would be sort of Winnipeg, and it's a movie called. I got to think of a better name. It's called One Week Left because I play a character much like myself, but this part is made up. Who has 1 week before he goes to jail. So he's driving around
Thanks for
from
clarifying.
Winnipeg to
That's great.
Southern Ontario. It's a comedy, I swear. He's driving around apologizing to people. And the last person that he apologizes to, instead of a comedian, I put myself in a rock band, which is ridiculous. I don't seem like a guy in a rock. And Dave and I, the guy that Dave plays, we were like, it's based on real life. We were like two guys in a band. And he's the last sorry that I got to say sorry to. Cheater's one of the one of the people I say sorry to. Um,
Are you going to invite Cheater to the evening? Are you going to invite Cheater to one of the shows?
Yeah,
I'm
I
assuming you're
should.
in Toronto.
And I call you by your real name but now I don't want people like to know who it is.
Right.
I'm talking to her right now. I'm sorry.
No, of
Yeah, but
course.
it's a comedy. It's a comedy. And hopefully we'll be shooting it. Well, I've been saying for 6 months. Hopefully we're shooting in spring, but it's spring already. But we're getting a little bit more money, and I just did a rewrite, which I think it's good. Because it's a crazy script. It's like I want it to be sort of like emotional without being hokey and corny and square. So I'm saying the word square again. But I also wanted to have the tone sketch comedy because that's what I'm good at. So I want people to care about it, but I also want stupid things to happen that would never happen. Like for example, my agent in the movie, he's been having a heart attack for 3 years. I want that kind of to exist in a movie where you still care about the main characters.
Of course.
So I'm getting
Are we
better as I
also,
rewrite it. I think I'm ready. Okay, now I'll say the fall. I've been saying the spring because they were saying the spring, but now I'll say the fall, hopefully.
when you think about those walks down, down Spadina
Yes.
past the Rivoli with Dave, what was the season?
Um, you know, maybe just memory seems like I'm about to sound like a bad poet. Maybe memory just seems like fall,
See?
uh, but it feels like fall
See,
a
there we
lot.
go. So it all makes sense, right? Moving it to fall, getting those rewrites done.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Summer's too hot and winter's too cold, and fall. It is. I didn't mean to be poetic. I swear to God. But fall is the romantic memory season.
It is true. Now, of course, the reboot of Kids in the Hall was in 2022. Are you seeing? Obviously, you have fans from back in the original season. Are you seeing a younger generation kind of diving into Kids in the Hall as well at your shows?
At my shows, yes, it's two-thirds. I'm horrible. The two-third, like I always sneak a look, and I always think, oh my, this is my whole thought process because I always forget I'm going to think this, but I think it naturally every time. Oh my God, my audience is so old, though 10 years younger than me. So there's two-thirds two-thirds of them who look way better than me, and then there's a third who somehow. Sometimes it's because the cartoons I've done, Lilo and Stitch and Pleakley, and but a lot of times there's young kids in the Hall of Fame. I guess it'll get smaller every generation, but I guess the way that I like the Marx Brothers when I was a kid in the '70s, why can't a young person like an old show like the Kids in the Hall? I mean, if that's their sensibility, they'll find it.
Absolutely. Well, we are so excited. I mean, the shows are coming up quick. April 18th and 19th, Second City, which again is where the Kids in the Hall got their start. Wasn't it you and Dave met at Second City?
Yes, Dave and I met at Second City. It was a different building, but who cares? It was still Second City. We met. I've said this story a million times, but did I tell you this last time I was on your show?
I'm here for it.
In our very first class together, which was I was sad because everybody was over 35. I was 19, and there was another teenager, Mike Myers. I'm name dropping, and we were together for a year. And then he was so good, as good as he ever was. He was good. He was that good when he was like 17, and I was a lumpy potato of potential. And he was discovered, and he was the second youngest person next to Catherine Harley, who went to Second City. They got hired by Second City Main Stage. And anyway, my first class, I was sad, and then another teenager came in, Dave Foley, and we fell comedy in love with each other all the time. We hadn't talked to each other, but the very first thing the teacher made us do was a mirror exercise where the two actors stand in front of each other and mirror each other's movements. And then we started doing silly things, and we pretended that we were a woman giving birth, and then we crawled on the floor, and then we crawled outside. Someone was late to class, and they opened the door, and we crawled outside, and we were on the sidewalk, crawling outside, dying of laughter. I hadn't even talked to him yet, like ever. And then our teacher was swearing at us through the window, telling us to get inside very angrily. And that's how we met. And by the end of that class, we had started a comedy troupe in Second City. Bring it back to your question, I'll be a professional in Second City.
Hey, you're a master storyteller, and that's what your an evening with you is. It's all about
That's
coming up.
right. Mark Twain tells tales of the Mississippi River.
We're so excited, and again, thanks so much for taking the time. And of course, thank you for keeping us up to date with all of your projects. And we're
Thank you.
excited to also
I'll come back
when
once a day and tell you all my projects. I promise, once a day.
you're coming back to film that excellent walk. You come on walk,
Yes.
keep walking a little bit farther
I'll
to
keep
Indie88.
walking to the to your broadcast booth there, and I'll tell you how the walk is going.
Yes, please. Love it. Okay, we'll see you this weekend. And again, the an evening with Kevin McDonald will continue because you're going to continue to tour it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so
Hi, I'm
much.
waving for those of you not watching this.